Hello, sports fans, and welcome to the Scott Sports 101 Monday Night Football doubleheader recap show, we'll call it. We had two games tonight because the Browns game was moved up to today due to COVID-19, and so we'll recap that one. We'll talk about the Monday night game between the Bears and the Vikings, but first, here is today's Scott Sports 101 Monday Night Football trivia question. It's a Browns one. And it's a Week 15 trivia questions. Despite the uncertainty at QB, many receivers put up good numbers under Romeo Crennel. Which of the following receivers did not have a 1,000-yard season for the Browns under Crennel? I will have the answer later on the podcast. The Browns' playoff chances are slowly diminishing as they lost to the Las Vegas Raiders 16-14 tonight at First Energy Stadium. This loss really hurt the Browns and their playoff chances as they fall to 7-7 on the season. The Browns had a 1-point lead in the fourth quarter, but could not hold on to it. They almost had a miraculous victory, Raiders kicker Daniel Carlson kicked a 48-yard game-winning field goal. It was a walk-off field goal to give the Raiders a 16-14 win over the Cleveland Browns, despite their many mistakes in this game. And so the Browns have 3 games left. They have the Packers, Pittsburgh, and the Bengals. The Packers game is this weekend. Daniel Carlson's, as I said, 48-yard field goal as time expired sent the Raiders to a 16-14 win on Monday night over the COVID-19 depleted Cleveland Browns in a game pushed back 2 days by the NFL amid an uptick to virus cases across the league. Down by a point, Derek Carr patiently drove the Raiders, who are now 7-7, into Cleveland territory in the final 2 minutes. Then Carlson shrugged off being iced by the Browns to boot his winner, keeping Las Vegas in the playoff mix. The Raiders, who weren't happy when the league delayed their visit, danced off their sideline when the kick went through. The loss was devastating for the Browns, who fell to 7-7, who would have vaulted into first place in the AFC North with a win. Instead, they fell into last place, tightly packed with division in the tightly packed division with 3 games remaining. And due to a virus outbreak, the Browns were without quarterback Baker Mayfield, coach Kevin Stefanski, and several other prominent players. Cleveland's third-string quarterback, Nick Mullins, had given the Browns a 14-13 lead by throwing a 6-yard touchdown pass on 4th down to Harrison Bryant with 3:45 left. And after Greedy Williams intercepted Carr, it appeared the Browns were on their way to taking their roller coaster season to new heights, but they could not come up with a first down and gave the ball back to Carr with 1:50 left. The Raiders quarterback took care of the rest, setting up Carlson's kick that kicked new life into the team, to a team that has dealt with adversity and drama all season, including the resignation of coach John Gruden in October. The Browns were ravaged by positive COVID-19 cases last week, despite league postponing the game for 2 days, and asymptomatic Mayfield was unable to produce a negative test in time to play. Cleveland was without dozens of their regulars today in this game. And the Browns were also without Stefanski, forced to miss his second big game in less than a year after he tested positive. Nick Chubb's 4-yard TD touchdown run came shortly after the Browns got a turnover they desperately needed. They jarred the ball loose from Carr and fumbled midfield and appeared to injure his leg, while being taken down by Sheldon Day and others. Carr was checked by the trainers before limping to the sideline. He came back for the Raiders' next possession and finished 25 of 38 with 236 yards and a touchdown. Cleveland issues up, and this is at hold the line. The hold the line news is okay. Kind of hold the line right here. This is called. Cleveland issues up front led to a major shift with Pro Bowl left guard Joe Patino sliding over to play left tackle as Jedrick Wills Jr. was one of the Browns' COVID-19 cases. Patino had a brief stint at tackle in training camp a few years back after a perennial All-Pro Joe Thomas retired. And then this is the next woman up for the second straight year. Browns Chief of Staff Callie Brownson was called to fill in for an assistant coach with acting running backs. Coach Ryan Cordella with COVID-19. Brownson stepped in, and last year she became the first woman in the league history to work as a position coach during a game. Brownson in her second season with Cleveland. She was recently hired as coach of the U.S. Women's National Team for this summer's World Championships. And up next for the Raiders, they host the Broncos on December 26th, the day after Christmas. And for the Browns, they will travel to Lambeau Field to play the Green Bay Packers on yours truly's birthday, Christmas Day. So, by far, I have to give the game balls to the Raiders. And so Derek Carr, 25 of 38, 236 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Josh Jacobs, 15 attempts, 52 yards, no touchdown, and I think it's Zay Jones, excuse me. 6 receptions, 67 yards. I'm also going to give a game ball to Nick Chubb for scoring his 1 touchdown, and also Harrison Bryant for his touchdown. So they're going to get game balls. We'll talk about the other Monday night game in just a moment. But first, it's time now to reveal the answer to today's Scott Sports 101 Monday Night Football Week 15 trivia question. Despite the uncertainty at QB, many receivers put up good numbers under Romeo Crennel. Which of the following receivers did not have a 1,000-yard season for the Browns under Crennel? And if you said Dennis Northcutt, you are correct. Dennis Northcutt, it was Dennis Northcutt, and you are correct. Austin Bryant had 1,009 yards in 2005. Braylon Edwards and Kellen Winslow both had over 1,000 yards in 2007. Northcutt had less than 700 yards in 2 years before leaving the team. And I'll have another trivia question on my next podcast, so stay tuned for that. And I took the Browns and lost. My brother-in-law, Eric Hoyle, took the Raiders and he won. And now we're going to talk about the other Monday night game. The Minnesota Vikings beat the Chicago Bears 17-9 tonight at Soldier Field in Chicago, Illinois. The Bears struggled offensively and defensively, and their mistakes and penalties are what costed them the win in tonight's game against the Vikings. Kirk Cousins threw 2 touchdown passes, and the Minnesota Vikings beat the struggling and short-handed Chicago Bears 17-9 on Monday Night Football. The Vikings go to 7-7 as part of a tight pack of teams vying for one of the NFC's 7 playoff spots. We're in the line for the most lopsided win before Justin Fields threw a touchdown pass to Jasper Horsted on the game's final play. The final play aside, Minnesota withstood several scoring threats by Chicago down the stretch and coming off a tight win over the Pittsburgh Steelers, in which they nearly blew a 29-0 lead. Given the state of the Bears' 4-10 record, the result was hardly a surprise. Chicago lost for the 8th time in 9 games, and with 14 players on the reserve COVID-19 list, that seemed inevitable. Receiver Allen Robinson was on it, as was the starting secondary. The health issues also hit the coaching staff, with all 3 coordinators testing positive for the coronavirus during the week. Defensive coordinator Sean Desai and was cleared to return hours before kickoff. The Bears had no update on offensive coordinator Bill Lazor and special teams coordinator Chris Tabor. Cousins, who struggled last week, didn't exactly dominate in this one. He was 12 of 24 for 87 yards with an interception and got it sacked 4 times. The 2-time Pro Bowler also connected with Justin Jefferson for a 12-yard touchdown in the first quarter and threw a 7-yarder to Amir Smith Marset in the third. Dalvin Cook ran for 89 yards after going for 205 against Pittsburgh and a sooner than expected return for a dislocated shoulder. DJ Wonnum had 3 sacks, and the Vikings recovered 3 fumbles on the way to their second straight win after back-to-back losses. Fields threw for 285 yards and ran for 35 in his second game back after missing 2 with broken ribs. The rookie completed 26 of 39 passes playing behind a line, missing both starting tackles, with right tackle Larry Borum on the COVID-19 list and left tackle Jason Peters out with an ankle injury. Robert Quinn and Akeem Hicks each had 2 sacks. Quinn had 16 this year, leaving him just shy of Hall of Famer Richard Dent's franchise record of 17 and a half in 1984. But it was another frustrating night for Chicago fans. Again, booed at times and made their feelings about Coach Matt Nagy known, chanting "Fire Nagy." The Vikings looked easy in grabbing a 7-0 lead. Made it easy look in grabbing a 7-0 lead. Cousins hit Jefferson's in left corner for the end zone for a 12-yard touchdown with just over 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Fields was then stripped by Cameron Dancer on a keeper near midfield. Anthony Barr recovered, leading to a field goal for the Vikings. Greg Joseph early in the second after some drama for the Bears. Nagy apparently upset about unsportsmanlike conduct call against Deion Bush, got flagged himself between quarters for arguing with the officials. The Bears then had the ball on the Minnesota 10, only to come away empty-handed when Sheldon Richardson stripped Montgomery and recovered the fumble. Carlos Santos kicked a 34-yard field goal to cut it to 10-3 with 1:33 remaining in the half. The Bears had another opportunity in the closing minute when Bush intercepted a deep pass that was nowhere near any receiver and returned it 27 yards to the Minnesota 39. Santos missed a 49-yard field goal on 4th and 2 that appeared to be tipped by Dalvin Tomlinson. Cousins made it midway through the third with a 7-yard touchdown pass to wide open Smith Marset, who celebrated with a brief nap in the end zone. The drive aided by 2 penalties, including one against Tease Tabor for a low hit on a blocker as he tried to trip up Cook on a 3rd and 18 deep in Minnesota territory. There was a player that was ejected. Minnesota's Eric Kendricks got ejected in the 4th quarter for a helmet-to-helmet hit on sliding Fields. So, nevertheless, the Bears get the win in this one. And up next, the Vikings will host the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday, and the Bears visit Seattle on Sunday. And Kirk Cousins gets the game ball, and also And also, come on, sucker. And Kirk Cousins gets the game ball along with, Kirk Cousins and two other players. I'll see you tomorrow for the other two games. 3, 2, 1. I'm done.